Hello class, my name is Lisa Golz and this is my video presentation for Liberty University Online SOWK 101 Introduction to Social Work. This video presentation will examine the commonalities that exist between social work and the Book of Psalms. We will begin with a general overview of the profession of social work as well as selections from the Book of Psalms. Social work has a rich history of community-based practice in the field dating back to the late 19th century. During this time, settlement houses were founded and were an essential part of the community. Many of the poor laws established in England were the basis for what would start as a means to assist the poor or orphan children and the mentally ill in America at that time. By the year 1887, there were 74 settlements, or settlement homes, in the United States, with 40% of those being in the major industrial cities of the time, such as Boston, Chicago, and New York. These settlements offered community organizing, political activism, and social movement. However, with one large flaw, and that being said, it was replicated from what the society looked like at that time, and it mirrored the harsh treatment and the harsh reality of segregation and oppression of people of color. In our textbook, An Introduction to the Profession of Social Work, Becoming an Agent of Change by authors Siegel, Gerdes, and Steiner, the profession of social work is defined as a profession that promotes human and community well-being, guided by a person and environment framework, a global perspective, respect for human diversity, and knowledge based on scientific inquiry. Social work's purpose is actualized through its quest for social as well as economic justice, the prevention of conditions that limit human rights, the elimination of poverty, and lastly, the enhancement of the quality of life for all persons, both locally as well as globally. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of the year 2014, there were well over 200,000 social workers employed in the United States alone. The unique contribution of social work practice is the duality of the profession's person and environment mandate, which is that social workers must help society work better for people and to help people function better within society. Now, this may sound like a daunting undertaking for a profession given the state of the world these days. However, I submit that it is a profession for those wishing to make a difference, be that in their own community, perhaps within a mental health facility, a community center servicing the elderly, a school setting, or a homeless shelter. The professional organization for social workers is known as the National Association of Social Workers, or NASW. This group adheres to the strict code of ethics. The code offers a set of values, principles, and standards to guide decision-making and conduct when ethical issues arise. The NASW Code of Ethics does not specify which of these values, principles, and standards are most important or which one should be held in a higher regard than the other. Ethical decision-making is a process. Conflicts can arise between the Code of Ethics and the personal view of the social worker. You can understand how that would occur. The code has changed over the years, though, to reflect a change in the landscape of society. Social work aids no one if it is offering outdated and poor quality service. Just like anything else, it all depends on the quality of service that you get for what it is you're looking for. The Journal of Social Work Values and Ethics published a study done on the impact of what is viewed as a culture war within the profession of social work. The author Hunter describes two polarizing impulses or worldviews, orthodoxy and progressivism. Each of these have different concepts of what is moral, good, right, and true. The orthodox view is said to align with transcendent moral authority. On the other side, we have the progressive worldview that is said to embrace the spirit of modern age, rationalism, and subjectivism. Those who align with the orthodox view are considered to be conservative, and those who align with the progressive view are considered to have a very liberal point of view in regards to what social work has to offer between the two views. It is the same thing, however, depending on how you're looking at it, you might come up with different ideas. The common ground, though, is that they both embrace the importance that social work provides to society. The profession of social work is at odds with itself in regards to the education now being offered for those wishing to pursue a career in social work. The issue is whether or not there is a place for faith-based educational programs. The majority of educators today can agree that there is an importance in teaching spirituality. However, they differ when it comes to the place of religion in the teaching and practicing of social work. The concerns about bringing religion into the education practice of social work revolve around potential conflicts between what the professional social worker or student believes in regards to their religious background and how that relates to the practice of social work. Whatever side you favor, I suggest you keep in mind whether or not you are spiritual or religious or agnostic, that your view is not the only view. We must consider our audience. Social workers must be able to embrace a plethora of views. Not all clients are the same. You will encounter some who may be deeply religious, and those religions can be based on Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, or maybe even Buddhism. Some might identify as simply being a spiritual person. On the flip side, one may also encounter a client without any faith. Whatever view your client takes is entirely up to them. However, you know how to conduct yourself, and the feelings that you exude can reflect your own personal beliefs without actually saying them. Now, I'm not suggesting here that one goes holy roller on a potential client, but there is a subtle way to carry yourself that inspires confidence, and when people see and feel that, unspoken messages can be communicated. Your faith or your religion or your spirituality is what you carry into a relationship, professional or personal. Who we are ultimately becomes visible to those around us. Long before the invention of social work, the Old Testament tenets historically played a role in shaping social and civic meaning and order. Remember, Jesus met people on their own level and added to them what they needed to make them whole. The book of Psalms is rich with verses to guide us on how to treat our fellow human beings. There are 150 Psalms, and they are divided up into 5 books. The Psalms are sometimes described as poems or songs. Songs about worship, sadness, comfort. Possibly the most popular or better known psalm would be the 23rd Psalm, which is more often than not connected to death and dying. The Psalms are timeless. We can make connections between them and our lives in this day and age. Also, part of the Old Testament is the Song of Solomon, which is a collection of writings with a theme of human love, which can further be compared to our love for one another. The belief is that the Psalms are written through the direction of the Holy Spirit to several other biblical figures, such as David, Solomon, and Moses. The messages delivered are about encouragement, instruction, inspiration, truth, and solutions to issues facing human beings. Not very different from what today's questions would be. Recall that the profession of social work is to take up the cause for those that are unable to do this for themselves. We can see this written in Psalm 34:17 with, "When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles." I submit that the social worker is God's conduit to help deliver those in need from their troubles. As a believer in Jesus Christ, we are part of a loving and caring community. Therefore, as a member of this community, we must reach out to other members when they are in need or have reached a low point and need a hand up. That hand can be figuratively or real. That hand can reach out in a loving way to bring comfort to another. Isn't this really what social work is about? How easy is it to relate the good feelings of Psalm 112, verse 4, to social work? For the good-hearted, light shines even in the dark. You are full of grace, compassion, and justice. Psalm 107, verse 47. You lift the poor from their suffering, guide whole families like a flock of sheep. Psalm 36, verse 13. Because with you is a fountain of life, but by your light we see light in the world. Pretty powerful, don't you think? I think so. Social workers can be that light for those living in darkness. That darkness can be poverty, hunger, unemployment, underemployment, lack of education, addiction, or depression. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of human suffering that goes on each day here in our communities and the world in general. Elsewhere in the Bible, I think it's Ephesians, we are referred to as God's poem, our artwork. This same image is included in the Psalms. N.T. Wright, in his book The Case for the Psalms, states that the Psalms, change the way we understand some of the deepest elements of who we are, or rather who, where, when, and what we are. We are creatures of space, time, and matter. And though we take our normal understanding of these for granted, it is my suggestion that the Psalms will gently but firmly transform our understandings of all of them. As this presentation comes to an end, I want to leave you with the words of Naveen GM that embody the worldview of what social work can and should be to all people. Helping people boost themselves out of poverty is the best way to make a lasting positive difference in a person's life. As we meet each day in this profession, let us remember that giving of oneself is the ultimate gift. Thank you very much.